Hey, thanks for joining us today on Coffee Time with Brenda and Friends.
Hi everyone, it's Mary. Happy to be back talking about all the wonderful, amazing, and sometimes unbelievable things that go on in the life of Brenda. And so happy to be back today.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for finally coming back to my place.
Yeah, we've been at my place for a while. Actually, Hershey, my little puppy, loves Brenda coming over. So you can see that on the episode before this one. She had a good time.
Yeah, she's so cute.
Yeah.
So welcome back.
Thank you. Actually, I've been telling that story to a lot of people who have pets that are struggling with different things. So I've been thinking about stories because lately I've been hearing a lot of different stories and people get excited when you tell stories. And so I thought maybe today we could tell a few more stories.
Sure. It's really interesting because if we take today and nowadays, people like stories. I'm quite shocked because when I did a house clearing, say years ago, I wouldn't tell people what I found because of the fear of freaking them out. But now people really want to know what was there. Tell me. And when I tell them, like, oh, that's a little creepy. I always say focus on that your house is now clear.
Yeah.
So for those who like the stories, we'll give you some stories.
Yeah, and I guess the one that really I'm thinking about, and I guess we shouldn't be surprised that people like stories. I mean, people have been telling stories. That's how we got our news for thousands of years. We told each other stories, right?
Yeah, that's
So I'm
right.
kind of excited about going back there and talking about stories. And so the one that pops for me lately that you told me that I think we ought to share is the whole idea of spiritual attachments.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that who knew that there's a way that spirits can attach to you and that they can make you feel different things and do different things. And like, you're going to have to tell me about that because that's a tough one for me.
Let's start gently with a common issue, and it's not as scary, and we can work our way up. So, although I think we've done some black magic episodes already, so maybe we'll go hardcore. But this is a nice story. So let's say.
Well, this is probably a story, if you're telling the one I think you're telling, that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few here, but I'm gonna mix it up. So there was a client that came in, first time ever meeting this client, but she was complaining of a lot of things going not so good in her life. And as we were talking, I was kind of guided to ask her, do you feel cold a lot? Do you feel this? Do you feel lack of energy? And all those things were coming out of yes. And back then I was giving something called the welcome session, but I was kind of guided just to give her, I want to call it the Reiki plus session, which is really energy work where the person's laying down. And during that session, there was this big surge of energy that came out of her. And at that point, the client started to cry. And I let her cry because she was releasing something. And as I kept working on her, I was downloaded that a grandparent just left her field. And they showed me a picture. Now, I don't see visualization. I just get knowings of, she's about 8 years old. Her grandmother died. She's very close to the grandmother. And she asked the grandma, please don't go, please don't go. Well, the grandmother, when someone passes away, it's kind of confusing. And if there's someone that they really love, it can pull them into their field. So what happened is this 8-year-old girl, she was 30 at the time when she came to see me, asked the grandmother indirectly to stay with her. And the grandmother felt sorry for her and stayed with her. It was confused. We don't understand what was going on in the grandmother's mind, obviously. But what we do know is that this girl from 8 years old to about 32 years old, she's had her grandmother's spirit stuck. It's like a spiritual attachment. Now the grandmother loves her. She's not there to hurt her.
Yeah.
But the grandmother doesn't know how to get out now. She's using her energy to fuel her spirit. So the person can feel cold. They can feel sluggish. They can feel like something's not right. Usually it's on one part of the body, like the left or the right, let's say. So as the spirit came out, there was this beautiful, it was beautiful. And I think she was crying because she felt the release and this like overwhelming relaxation, but she also was having memories of her grandmother at that time. Long story short, after the session, I didn't want to say anything that I experienced because I didn't want to, put words in her mouth or anything like that. I'll just say, what we got is we did a clearing. Then we did a healing of her energy fields. And I was just explaining to her, I go, so, that was a very successful session. What did you feel? And she's like, oh, I started to cry. And that was because I just felt so much love from my grandmother, but something actually left my body. Like I felt it.
Wow.
And that, then I kind of like was guided to tell her what my experience was. And she's like, that made a lot of sense. Now, when someone has a spiritual attachment like that, there's actually a period of grief and loss because you get used to having that energy in your field, even though it's not really beneficial because they're tapping into your energy field.
So she didn't feel better right away.
No, you feel actually kind of like better, yes, but not better, sad in a way.
Yeah.
So what happens is her grandmother then goes to the world of light or heaven, gets her healing, and she'll come back as a spirit guide. And then you'll have that company again in a different way, a better, more beneficial way. So I said, just be patient. There's a process. So at first she was, contacting me saying, I do feel sad. I do feel like I'm missing something. There's something missing, but I feel warm again. I'm having more energy as she was rebuilding her strength.
Wow.
So those do happen. When my father passed away, there was this great urgency that I had to leave the room. I didn't want to leave the room. I wanted to be there with him. I was there through his sickness. But I kept being told, you must leave. He will not pass away with you there. So I was being stubborn. I wanted to stay.
Yeah.
But then my kids needed me at 1 a.m. And as I drove home, my brother and my mom were in the room with him. He passed away and I wasn't there. And I knew he passed away. I could feel it. But sometimes I believe me and my dad were close. And he may have stayed in my field because my field's so open. And that's why they were... And he moved out. My mom actually felt his spirit leave. And he actually came back very quickly and started communicating us from the other side.
So that's a pretty incredible story. And... kind of hard to believe for people that are not into this kind of healing and understand how this energy and spiritual attachment and all that stuff goes. And it's usually me and you on this video thing telling people stories. Would that woman ever come and tell her story?
Well, I've had some pretty amazing cases and some like really out there that you could probably make a movie out of them.
Yeah.
And I ask clients, would you be willing to talk about it? And there's this stigmatism of embarrassment. I don't want people to know that happened to me. They might tell their close friends and stuff. I get that in a way. Because let's say if I, just start telling people this happened to me, I did have a possession.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. I've been through a lot. I have no judgment of people, and people feel safe telling me their stories. So when I tell stories, I will put anonymous client because I'll get even like therapists who are referred people are coming to me, and they'll say, Brenda, I can never tell people I come to you. I'm a therapist. I'm this. And so it's completely confidential because, and that's why, trust me, I'm trying to get people to come on here and share their stories.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, say if I have my face covered and my voice changed. I was like, well, I must as well just tell the stories myself.
Well, I guess that's one of the reasons we do these videos is to try to decrease stigma and to increase people's curiosity and willingness to learn, because that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm learning as I go. I learn every time I talk to you. I learn something, and then I have to see how that resonates with me.
Yeah, of course, and that's really what it is. It's how does it resonate with you? I mean, some people don't. I get like messages. Please don't tell my sister about this, because I might know both of the family.
But you're very confidential.
Oh, I'm very confidential.
Yeah.
So whatever people want to share, they can share. And I get it. It's a personal journey, and we're not there yet.
Yeah. I have to say we're running out of time, but you used the word possession, so I have a million questions about that. So next episode we'll continue this conversation for sure.
Okay, perfect. All right.
If you want more information, check out www.sobrilliant.ca for lots more information.
Yeah, and everything that we do is done with love, so really nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, love and light, everyone.
Thank you.